Magicians, how are you today? So happy Sunday. Okay, so today I'm doing a live video on how to live on the financial edge. So I haven't been in the group for a while, at least not doing any kind of videos or engaging in the discussions, because we were doing the Fall in Love with Your Bank Account challenge, so the 5-day challenge, which has been absolutely amazing, right? And we also did and then the Money Magic course open for registration. So today I thought it would be really great to do a video where we talk about living on the financial edge. And I'm about to explain what that is. So if you've just joined the group, and I know that we've got quite a few new people in the group here, my name is Vangile, and I'm the author of Heart, Mind, and Money, but I'm also the host of the Money Magicians group, where I teach you guys how to fall in love with your bank account, clear your ancestral stories around money, and of course just travel without accumulating debt. Okay, so what do I mean by living on the financial edge? Okay, so when I talk about living on the financial edge, I'm talking about this whole concept of basically living where you allow yourself to just survive financially, where we don't allow ourselves to go beyond thriving. And this sense of just survival is not about how much money we make, right? It's literally about who we are and what we've trained ourselves to accept in terms of finances. So when I talk about the financial edge, I'm talking about often having debt, or just never having enough money. Like our needs are surpassing our income, or even when we do have an increase in income, something kind of happens. It's like this really miraculous thing where our income increases, but then our expenses increase as well. So we cut expense in one thing, but suddenly we have expenses in another form coming up, right? So I'm very, very well versed with this. And then we also, not only that, but then we get out of debt, but before we suddenly have paid off debt, and before we know it, we somehow have a reason to get back into debt. So you've just cleared your credit card. Oh my God, yes! You're having this amazing experience of not having any credit card debt, and then boom, something happens to get you right back into the credit card debt, right? Or now you're out of debt and you've managed to clear your debt, but suddenly your income just suddenly decreases. So all these things, and then you're constantly worried. So all these things that keep us on edge financially, where we can't just relax about money, where we're anxious when it comes to money, and we're always worried about money, where we're just never at peace with money. And not only with money, but we were just never at peace with ourselves. So what's going on? And this is something that's big for me, that keeps coming up with my clients. And I couldn't figure out why it's coming up with my one-on-one clients. And at first I thought, oh, that's so interesting. But there's this notion of it's not safe for us to just be okay financially. It's not safe to go beyond survival mode. It's not safe for us to thrive. And the way that it also shows up with my clients is that I started to notice that I'm having the same discussions around just allowing ourselves to be still, allowing ourselves to enjoy the moment. So let's say that you're out somewhere and you're just there on vacation for, say, 7 days, just sitting still and not doing anything and allowing ourselves to be pampered. So I started to notice that there's this trend, right? So we're not able to just be at peace. We need some kind of emergency, something to worry us. We need to constantly be working, constantly on edge. And as I work more with my one-on-one coaching clients, I started to notice something very interesting, and it's become very prominent for me in the last week, in that there's a sense of it's not safe not to worry about money, right? It's not safe not to be anxious about money. And I started thinking about it, it's like, why is that? And there's the sense of you cannot allow yourself to relax with money. You know, it's just not safe. It's not something that we do. And it's a way that, and so we create these situations where we're always not able to be safe. So even when you do get out of debt, like I said, something happens to make sure that you're right back in, so that you can feel that sense of safety, that survival. And I keep thinking to myself, when I was in debt, my biggest belief system was that debt gives me a reason to live. I believe that keeping myself in debt and not being free of debt is a way that I kept myself alive. Like debt, the exact words that I remember writing down when I was doing my self-coaching was, debt gives me a reason to live, right? Debt gives my life meaning. So there's a sense that the anxiety and the worry that we feel gives us meaning, gives us life. So we can allow ourselves to just relax, right? Especially when it comes to money issues. So I started thinking, why is that? At first I thought, oh, with all my clients, I've been with all my coaching clients, my one-on-one clients, as this is coming up, because it's not only just coming up with debt and things like that, it's also coming up around expanding ourselves financially, right? So it's like my clients want to move into the next income level, into the next income bracket, and add an extra zero onto what they earn. But the huge problem is it's just not safe. It's not, I don't know how to step into that phase because I'm so used to worrying. So, and it just feels like if it happens with ease, it's not right. If I expand with ease and grace, then there's something wrong with that. So then I started thinking to myself, where is the sense of survival coming from? And I mean, I work mainly with Black women, so it's possible that white women also struggle with this, but I started to look at it more in depth and say that this can't be the way it is. Actually, I didn't think of it like that. I kind of like had this light bulb moment in meditation yesterday where I was sitting and I realized it's not just about the inner child as I've been coaching my clients and working with them, because there's a sense of I don't want to give up living on the financial edge. So where is this coming from? And some of my clients are having such a hard time even releasing it. They have physical reactions to releasing that thought and releasing the notion of just surviving and imagining themselves just thriving. Because it's one thing when you're doing the work and you're saying, oh, I'm thriving, and you're doing the affirmations. But when I'm putting you through the deep meditations and you're meeting all your different sub-personalities in a coaching session, you realize that actually I have no interest in letting go of this state of being because it's protecting me. So I started to look at how this really ties into ancestors, because it hit me yesterday, like I said in meditation, that this goes way deeper. It goes into who we are as Black women and our ancestral history. So most of my clients, one-on-one coaching clients, are African American and then South African as well, right? So I work with a lot of South Africans in the Money Magic course, and then the one-on-one clients are these amazing women. So all of these women are just incredible. So I just thought to myself, it started to make sense that this whole idea of where we come from, that I was approaching this completely wrong, that our ancestral history goes a lot deeper than I've actually just been looking at. So I started to clearly see how if our ancestors, and if you look at South Africa or even America, the ancestral history is one of oppression. So our ancestors very rarely had this notion of just chilling and relaxing and things coming with ease and grace. And to be fair, for them to worry and be anxious was a way that they remained alive, because that kicked them into, I guess, hyper awareness. Because if you're living in an environment where, because of your skin color, you constantly have to be on guard. You can't just enter certain places and just be chilled out, right? You can't just enter into an environment that's clearly marked white only and then just chill out and think that you'll be okay and you'll survive to tell the story another day. So you needed to act in a particular way. You needed to be hyper vigilant. That hyper vigilance is what gave our ancestors the sense of survival, that not relaxing, not always worrying, always being anxious, kept them alive. And if they had to, they couldn't just be chilling out and relaxing when things were going the way that they did, or else they would have lost their lives in most cases. So because, as I've said before, with the study of epigenetics inheritance, what happens is that our ancestral experiences and emotional responses are passed on from one generation to the next. So guess what? We are that generation that has gotten part of those experiences. So our ancestors knew, like, I'm sure we can all agree that during apartheid, our parents weren't just chilling and relaxing and like, oh, this country is awesome, we'll just keep going. People were hyper vigilant. Family members were being protected. People were either having to flee the country. All that is now part of our DNA. It's something that they passed on to us. So now we bring the same hypervigilance into our relationship with money. And remember that this is also all tied into our relationship with money, right? Because a lot of it is, you could be fired if you didn't work as hard as you were expected to work. Because for most Black women and for most Black men throughout history, our how do I put it, not well-being, but our worth came from the fact that we could give value to the master, so to speak. So master in inverted commas. So if we didn't know how to do that, we could lose our jobs, and you're always having to prove your worth. You're never at peace. You're never relaxed. So now this makes sense to me that I would be working with clients where it's the sense of relaxation, asking them to relax, chill out about money, chill out about life, and trust life is something that would feel like I am asking them to give up their very life, where the inner child would fight in the sessions, fight us, fight the client, fight the entire session. So then we'd have to work on relaxing and permitting the inner child and going through at least 2 or 3 sessions of going through what's keeping us in survival mode, why we feel the need to create situations that will keep us on financial edge. Because financial edge is what we know. It's what our ancestors knew. Even if it wasn't financial edge that they knew, it was some kind of being on the edge, needing to worry, needing to be anxious, because that kept you alive. So now this makes it very difficult for us to let go of that sense of needing to always be on edge, needing to always think in terms of survival mode and go into thriving. And it has major implications, right? So I've already discussed the implications. So I think the real work that I'm starting to see isn't just in healing the inner child. This is why I'm now even more determined that the true work for us, especially as women of color, is really and truly also in healing and understanding our ancestral reactions to things, like the way that we have been engineered to react to situations, because these the way that our ancestors coped with life and were able to survive from moment to moment is something that we have taken on as a way of living right now, and it's impacting our finances. So we're having a really hard time moving from thriving, right? Moving into thriving mode. So I started to think about it, and I thought, but how does this really play out? How would someone know that they are living on the financial edge? And a huge part of it is I started to think, well, one of the things is that we're working super hard, but we're finding it very, very hard to break through income barriers, right? Because a lot of it is we're also carrying this notion that we need to work twice as hard to get half of what they have. And these are really key things that I used to take as gospel, but for some reason, as I'm working, as I said before, I'm working towards the goal of retirement in the next 24 months, and I'm starting to question all these notions of we need to work hard. Things need to come hard. Things need to be hard. I need to get things in a hard manner. I need to work as hard. And I've been thinking, but why is it that other people don't have to work that hard? Yes, there's systematic oppression, there's all that, but up to a point, we're also working so hard because every single thing in this world is busy telling us that as women of color, and especially as Black women, your worth is already questioned from the time you're born. So as we arrive in this world, we're already having to fight to prove our worth. But guess what? What happens is that we start to take on a lot of these societal beliefs and we start to embody them. They start to become part of us. And not only that, is that our ancestors believed them at some point, you know, because tell a people for 400 years that they don't matter, that whatever they've done, they are not worthy. Some of them along the line start to believe it, and it gets passed on from generation to generation, and it's at the deepest levels of our psyche. So these things are coming up that I didn't even know were there. And as I work with clients, it's something that's also coming to the surface, that we need to work on the sense of where are we in this world? And it's almost that we're always working to prove our own worth. And in that moment, that means that we're not 100% sure of our own worth. So really understanding the intersection of our history and where we come from, it really can help us also understand why we're behaving the way that we're behaving with money. So if you're watching this, which I can see some of you guys are, please ask any questions. Let me know if any of this is resonating with you, and just say hi, right? So that's where I'm at. I'm going to be sharing more of these insights because I think as my focus the last few years has really been about getting out of debt and teaching how to get out of debt. And then it was about how to manage money. And now my big focus is really about how to make money, you know, and be able to move on to the next level and expand. So let me know if this is resonating with you. Otherwise, if you were in the challenge, please check out the emails. And if you couldn't subscribe to the Money Magic course, please check out the emails, right? Because I've sent something as an alternative for people who told me that they were really struggling and they wanted to sign up for the course, but they couldn't afford to. Okay.